I would like to discuss militant atheism. Is it the best way to go about talking to the devout spiritualist? Yes. And I think, and I'll start off by saying that I have an idea of what a militant atheist is.
Okay, perhaps you can expound on that.
Yeah, well, I tend to think of a militant atheist as someone who is constantly on the radar and looking out for any religious person that's speaking about woo in public, and they confront them and argue with them and tell them that their God has no basis, and what evidence is there for this God, and basically argues with the spiritualist to the point of just taking up this opposition, and just this sort of it begins to be this sort of, it causes an argument basically, and then the militant atheist walks away feeling superior, and I'm correct and they're wrong. And
all right. Well, the atheist is correct, and they are the opposition. The theists are wrong. As regards the feeling of superiority, yes, there are atheists who think that just by virtue of being atheists, they're enlightened and they're morally superior, and that's a problem because of the term atheism. With regard to militant atheism, you've asked a few questions.
Yeah, I guess because being on the radar for any kind of all the time, and not only being on the radar, but then going up to them and confronting them, and
them being what you'd call the devoutly
having a conversation with someone who you don't know, and the topic maybe being feathered, and then saying, okay, this person's religious, I'm going to bring up my atheism and debate with them about God.
So there are certain people we shouldn't bother arguing with. Is that your contention?
Well, I just think that the devoutly spiritualist people, I think that a softer approach is a better method of talking with them and discussing with them, because obviously some people.
What would that involve? A softer approach?
Well, I mean, some people, there's no point talking to them at all because their beliefs are so strong, and they're militant theists. There's no hope for them. But I think that some people, you need to have a softer approach. My approach would be to say, okay, yeah, you believe in God. Oh, that's good. Oh, yeah. How? And I would suggest that asking them how firmly they believe, or how do they go to church every week, and why don't they go to church every week, and how much do you believe, and do you pray, and asking them questions like that, and getting them to question how much they believe in the woo, I think is a better approach, rather than saying, oh, you just that doesn't make any sense at all.
I take your point where we engage with certain spiritual people or religious people once we've ascertained that they may be worth talking to, as against some of what you refer to as the militant theists.
Yeah, and I think it's important to make the distinction quickly about whether or not it's worthwhile talking about the topic of religion and spiritualism.
With this softly approach, I think there's something a bit condescending about it and patronising. It suggests that they need to be treated with kid gloves. I have to keep in mind that they're still making claims to knowledge that they can't make, however non-militant they may be. They're still making very grandiose claims to knowledge about themselves, and their knowledge with regard to the nature of reality. And they're talking about their repugnant views, often in the presence of children who are trying to work out, the children that is, work out for themselves what their views are. And these people are adults, and children tend to defer to adults. When children hearing adults say one thing, like we should look for evidence for our beliefs, then they're hearing another set of adults making grandiose claims to knowledge. Then the latter, the theists, however soft they may be, who are still making grandiose claims, and these claims cause confusion in the minds of
So you're saying
children.
that it's okay sometimes to be a militant atheist, and that it's necessary because they're spreading the virus into our children?
They are, no matter how watered down their beliefs are. And they also will say one thing to one person and say something else to another. Priests will all be jolly and happy when they're talking to adults, but then they get in the pulpit and they'll talk about damnation and hellfire and so forth. They keep two sets of books. We don't know how they speak to other people. But I get back to the point. If they want a watered down version, they're going against their religion anyway by watering it down. They're halfway there in a sense. So I take your point. They're halfway there in rejecting their beliefs because they've watered it down. They have to go against what's written in their holy or supposed holy texts. So
Yeah, I just think that someone who sort of has a bit of a belief, if you start saying your belief is wrong, they can get easily offended, and that can push them further back towards their listening to their preacher.
yeah, it's the way we go about it. If somebody talks to me about their belief, I'm left with two alternatives, I think. One is to just let them talk and not say anything, or say their beliefs are wrong. It's the manner in which I say that their beliefs are wrong,
I would
which are
offer
important, I think.
I would offer a third option and say that to ask them questions that make them question how much they believe their beliefs.
So be a bit inquisitorial, really.
Yeah, make them ask the questions instead of you asking them loaded questions.
What makes you think they're going to stand there and listen to all your questions?
Well, they're already engaging with you, so that's half the battle.
Yeah, but they'll be asking questions back. This is what I
I guess you have to get on the front foot and let them talk about themselves, you know.
Oh, they love doing that.
Yeah.
They
Well,
love
it makes it
doing
easy
that.
then, doesn't it?
It makes it easy for them to propagate their nonsense.
Yeah, but I think you're distinguishing between the people who really have no chance of changing their beliefs as opposed to these people that have a chance of changing their beliefs.
Should we interject when they're talking about their beliefs, or just let them speak as long as they want?
Oh, depends how much time you've got, I guess. But for the people that are, if you judge them to be these sort of militant theists, then yeah, I agree. I have to agree with you. Being in response to the militant theist, being a militant atheist in response is justified. And
I have to ask at this point, what context are we talking about? What kind of situation where would we be talking to them or interviewing them, really, asking them questions and then letting them speak?
I guess
what forum?
I just guess the public social forums where at work, or you wouldn't probably discuss it at work, but maybe after work on a Friday afternoon or something
Yeah, well, rather you than me. I don't want to listen to a bunch of gibberish.
Yeah.
So you can do that.
Yeah.
If you'd like.
But then you still argue. What medium would you argue in then, if not the social environment?
No, I'd argue in the social environment or personal environment. I was just trying to clarify, or get you to clarify what you meant by let them talk. If it's a social environment and they're going to talk ad nauseum about the Holy Spirit has revealed knowledge to them and now it's their duty to spread the word, it's very rude on their behalf. And it might be partly to blame of the part of the blame might be apportioned to the person asking the questions that has allowed them that time that they otherwise wouldn't have had. So in the end, I think they'll start asking questions back, which will lead to hopefully a civilized argument. Sometimes it will be a sincere one. They will defend their beliefs, as we all defend our beliefs that we've put a lot of intellectual and emotional investment into, and the beliefs almost defend themselves. But I don't think that we have to be soft on people who are making very grandiose claims. And I keep reminding myself that the burden of proof is on them. If they've started making a claim, they have to back it up. I just have to listen and say, well, nice try, but there's no evidence.
Yeah.
Have you got anything more? Once they start talking about revelation and so forth, well, that's the end of the conversation as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
If they start talking about evidence for their beliefs, perhaps we can then engage. We can direct them to other sources, of which there are many out there, not only the very well-known atheists, but on the internet there's full of arguments that shoot down their arguments. So we don't really have to take it upon ourselves, but maybe corral them into the right sources and let them see the other side of the argument. Many of the people with whom we'll be engaging won't have heard the other side of the argument, and perhaps we, if they haven't wanted to listen for various reasons, which might be interesting to find out by means of interviewing them.
And asking them about what they believe and why they believe it.
That's right, yes.